If you don't think Luxe and high protein go hand in hand, then this video is definitely for you. Today we're whipping up Luxe Filet Mignon on a bed of creamy hummus with a side of cucumber salad. And now we are putting this all together for a high protein but still very low calorie meal. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to do this and exactly how quick you can put this together on the dinner table. Okay, so if you've been following me, you know that I am on a fitness journey these days. And one of the things that I am doing to make sure that the pounds come down and the lifestyle stays luxe is cooking at home, but incorporating high protein meals. And so this is one that I absolutely think anyone can do it, and I'm just going to show you exactly how. We're going to start off with marinating and seasoning the filet mignon because that's the star of the show, and here's what you're going to need for that. As I've said before, that seasoning your meats and that protein is definitely the vibe. I'm from the Caribbean, and let me explain. We are all about seasoning our food. So I'm going to go into the spice pantry here and grab some stuff. So always going to love pulling out my garlic and onion powder. I'm gonna see, let's get some oregano this time for this one. So I'm gonna pull oregano out. You definitely want your salt and black pepper, but let's add some extra stuff in there. I'm gonna go with some smoked paprika in this one. And I'm gonna do some maybe not with the crushed red pepper. What else can we add in here that will give this the flavor we want? It's just a matter of what I'm feeling, you know? And so we have this wood-fired garlic seasoning that my husband grabbed. All right, we're gonna try this. Let's see how this works with this together. But whatever seasoning you are feeling, that's where we're going to go. I'm just going to say season it a little bit. We're just not trying to do salt and pepper alone. And I know for those who are true steak lovers, they're going to say that's all we need. But I'm telling you, a little extra is never going to hurt anyone, and it certainly will not offend your taste buds. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut up the filet mignon. And the reason you want to do that because we're making basically steak bites. And so I'm going to just rinse this on the side. Okay, I'm just getting rid of some of the excess water on here when I rinsed it. And so we're going to do that. And this is going to take really not much time. Just want to have them into smaller pieces. So I'm going to break this down a little bit. I absolutely love cooking with this knife. I got this knife recently when I went to Japan. It's a Miyabi 7000D made in Japan. And do you see how it is literally slicing through this like butter? Now I understand, because I definitely was one like, why do we need an expensive knife? Why are people spending so much on a knife? And now I get it. It makes cooking so much quicker, easier. You can cut things off quicker. You're not tangling with it. I just find that my cooking lately has been faster when it comes to the prep because of the knife. And so if you have the ability to, get one, even if you're saving up for one or you put it on your Christmas list, birthday list, anniversary list, I absolutely would recommend that. This thing just makes cooking so much faster and easier. Okay, so all the meat has been cut up. I'm just going to transfer them to a bowl so I can get the rest of the seasonings going. Okay, so remember the ones that we grabbed? I'm going to need to refill this soon. But so this is my garlic powder. Be generous. It is okay. I have some onion powder. Be generous. And you're just kind of building up this, building it, building up your flavors. Now this one has salt in it, so I'm just gonna, I just have to be wary of that when I do if I put in any additional salt because I don't want it to be too salty. And then we have here some oregano leaves and I was going to put this in here, but I'm going to leave that out. And what I'm going to do is just a little bit of olive oil, just a tiny, like a teaspoon, nothing much. Remember, we're still concentrating on how much calories we're doing for these meals. Even if we're doing high protein, we also want to make sure that we're not adding unnecessary calories in it. I'm just gonna get those flavors going. This is definitely something that you can do in advance, if you want to do this on the weekend, and so that when it's time to pop it in either the air fryer or in the skillet or on the grill, you can do so. I am going to be using my air fryer for this just because I'm lazy, but also because I do like how it comes out with the air fryer. It's like crispy a little bit on the outside, the soft and just delicate in the middle. So I'm gonna do that. I'm going to just add super easy, right? And now it's gonna just leave it on the side to marinate just a little bit while we work on the other parts of this Luxe but high protein dinner. Okay, so we are now going to prep the hummus. Now, obviously, you can get hummus at your local grocery stores or wherever you want to buy those. However, I have found that making homemade hummus is just so superior. I don't know what it is, but it just tastes so much better when we make it at home. And it's really, really simple to make, and you're going to save money. So, I'm going to show you how to make this, and we're going to need chickpeas. All right, that's what's going to give you hummus. And in this one, the proteins for a serving is 6 grams of protein. So we are already building on how many proteins. I didn't mention how much proteins the steak was, but you're going to get between 25 to 29 grams of protein in a serving. So we are already adding enough over the 35 threshold. And that has been what I've been looking for, trying to get between 30 to 40 grams of protein in each meal to sustain me throughout the day. I'm going to feel full throughout the day, especially if this is something I eat at lunch. What I normally do is whatever I make for dinner, because it's going to be high protein, I also carry over to lunch to take to work. So I know that I'm hitting those high proteins in the middle of the day, which avoids any type of snacking until I come home. And that has been working like chef's kiss. So adding this additional protein is definitely a winner. So if we want to have some chickpeas, I'm going to have a lemon, garlic, and I'm going to have some tahini. You can get tahini at your local supermarket. All right, you're also going to need some olive oil and some cumin, okay? All right, so the most important part of making, honestly, for making hummus to me is the blender. So this is what I am currently using right now. This thing, put it in the description of the video if you are interested in grabbing one, but I absolutely love it. It's so simple and easy to carry around. I don't need to take on my big food processor, and it actually holds a lot for what I normally use it for. So definitely something, if you don't have like a small one, definitely one that I would recommend. But obviously, if you have a food processor, you can use that. And if you don't have either and you have a blender, you can use that as well. Okay, so this is what we're going to use here. I'm first going to start with trying to whip and blend the lemon juice with the tahini to just kind of fluff up the hummus, because I like my hummus super fluffy. So I'm going to get rid of the seeds that is in this lemon. Okay, I like using my little juicer here. And I like using this juicer because you see the seed is in there, so I'm going to be able to pull that out without having to worry about it being in the hummus itself or in the bigger blender. So just get rid of that. And then we're going to go in with the other. One more little seed got in here, so get that out of there. Okay. And you're just going to pour it into here. And as I said, I have very little hummus left in there. I have any more. So I'm just going to, hopefully the amount I have will work. I have probably about a quarter cup, which is what you really need. So I'm going to whip that up. Okay. So it's definitely whipped in there. So what we're going to add now is I'm gonna add our garlic, crushing this. Okay, I put 3 small pieces of garlic in there. Get rid of this. And then we're gonna put a little bit of our cumin in here, like a half a teaspoon, okay? I'm also gonna add a pinch of salt and about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And I'm gonna go back in and we're gonna try the tahini that's on the side, kind of scrape it down a little bit. It smells so good already. And then you're just gonna go back in with a blender now and whip that up again. And so it's gonna mix. Okay. Look how beautiful that's coming together. Ooh. And it smells amazing. All right, so then the last part of this is adding the chickpeas. What I want to do is I'm going to drain my chickpeas with a strainer. And I'm going to just rinse it under the water a little bit so that some of that salt from the canning process, you don't have as much sodium. So I'm just running it under the water for a little bit. And then we're going to add it. Okay. And then we're going to add it to our mixture. Now I'm not going to put the whole thing in at first. So I'm just going to pour in about half, a little bit. I absolutely love chickpeas in anything. And that bonus of being high in protein is just a bonus for me in this. Okay, I'm going to put this back on here. And okay. So see, it's a little chunky like that. I'm actually going to need to put some more chickpeas in here. But what we're going to do is we're going to add some cold water because I like mine so very smooth and not and a little runny, not too thick. I don't know how to explain it, but you know when you see it, right? You know when it's done. So I'm going to put this in here. Okay. It's coming together. You can still see that there's some chickpeas in the middle there. You can just use a when you see how thick, almost very hard it is a little bit, you can use a spatula to make sure, kind of mix it in a little bit, and then we're going to run this again. But I'm going to add the last bit of chickpeas I still have here. Since this is kind of the bed for our steak bites, we're going to need a lot. So okay, definitely need to be, it's coming together, but you can see this obviously coming together nice. All right, so here's a trick that I picked up on the internet, not even sure where, but it's the fact that when you're making hummus and it seems to be a little hard, like you saw just now, that people try to add olive oil thinking it will make it smoother and softer, but it's not olive oil that does it. Actually, olive oil makes it even more harder. So you want to be careful how much olive oil you're adding. The trick is cold water. And what I learned years ago is adding a cube of ice to that. That cube of ice is going to let it become less hard and more smooth, like how we love our hummus. Okay, so I'm adding one of the ice and a spoonful of cold water. And we're going to keep adding until we get to the consistency that we want. Okay, so this is that creamy consistency that I was talking about. And that was just a little bit of adding the ice and a couple teaspoons of water. Just go slowly, okay, and test it and up to the consistency that you like. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the steaks now. Okay, so we're gonna go take the steaks now and put those in the air fryer. They've been marinating just for a few minutes, but obviously this is something that if you want to do in advance, I only thought about this meal about 10 minutes ago. So if you think about it in advance, you can marinate and then bring it to the air fryer. It's gonna obviously anything that's marinating longer than 10 minutes is gonna soak up all that nice seasoning and that flavor. But we're gonna be okay. We're gonna try it with this, and then we're gonna start working on our cucumber while the steaks are in the air fryer. Okay, so we are now going to take our marinated steak and we're going to get it into our air fryer. So I'm just going to open the basket like that. I have it lightly greased at the bottom, and I'm just going to make one single layer. We don't want to overcrowd it, and add our steak bites in there. Definitely don't want to overcrowd it. Just make it in batches if you have a small basket, and that will be fine. I'm going to do air broil. So it's saying 10 minutes, but around the 6-minute mark, I'm going to check it and see where we are. Okay, so while the filet mignon steak bites are in the air fryer, we're gonna jump into making our cucumber salad, which is just a fresh summer salad that accompanies this meal. But once again, it is low calorie, so loving it already. So what you're gonna need, obviously, is you're gonna need some cucumbers. I have 2 here that I need to peel, and then dill, but you can use any other fresh herbs that you like. I just love how cucumber and dill go together. It just feels like a match made in heaven. That's me. And then we're going to do some pickled red onions. I'm going the lazy route because I have this in the jar already. But if you want to pickle your own red onions, easy day, go for it. But I'm being lazy today because I'm tired. And so we're going to try to get this moving quickly. And then I have here we go, some rice vinegar. You can use any other type of vinegar, to be honest with you. I love using rice vinegar. I just think it tastes better for me, but it's up to your taste. And then we're going to do some salt and pepper. So I am going to get this chopped up using my Miyabi 7000D knife because that thing makes everything move so much quicker. So we're going to do that and show you guys how that goes. Now, if you want, you can keep this the skin on. For this particular recipe, I like it without the skin on the cucumber, but I have definitely, eaten cucumbers before and people keep it with the skin on. Nothing wrong with that. But just for this particular menu, I like when I don't have the skin on there. Check it on my steak because remember, we don't want it to be too overdone. Remember, it's an expensive-ish piece of steak, so I want to make sure that it comes out really nicely. Okay, this looks amazing. And so we can go ahead and put the other layer in there. Just make sure that they're not on top of each other. And then we can put that back in there. High protein Luxe dinner that comes together so quickly. I'm sure if you were to go out to get this meal, what do you think in the comments? Let me know how much you would probably have to pay for something like this. And so this I'm just going to leave on the side because we're going to plate that with our hummus after. So one of the things I like to do, because I love eating with my eyes and making things look pretty, is to kind of score the cucumbers down the side and then cut. And I think it gives that pretty elegant look to it. So all we're doing is basically getting a knife and just scraping it down on the sides. And then when you cut it, it will have these scores on it. I'm just going to cut these. I just love how beautiful they look. And while these are being cut up, I'm going to put some salt in them so it could draw out some of the water that cucumber has. It's one of the reasons cucumber has such little calories on it, because it's really made up of mostly water. So while I'm going to put these in here, and then I'm just going to sprinkle some salt in them in the meanwhile, while I cut up the other one. And basically that salt is going to draw out the water while it sits there. I'm just going to put this to the side. And we're almost done with this fancy dinner that's going to be great for our bodies, high protein, healthy, but yet still again, luxe dinner. That definitely, while making it at home, saves you so much money, because filet mignon is not cheap. Okay, even if you're buying it at the supermarket, but you're still saving, because if you were to go and get this at a restaurant, you know, the hummus, homemade hummus, along with this fresh cucumber salad, you definitely would be paying some coins. And on this channel, we are all about enjoying a luxe lifestyle on a budget. Okay, once again, for this one, we're also going to score. So if you missed the first time, I'm just taking my knife and grazing it onto the side. And then when you cut it, it's going to have this pretty look on the outside of each slice. See, there. I don't know if you're able to see it that well. Maybe, maybe not. But I just think it gives that extra detail. Okay, add this to the bowl with the rest of the other. And so we're going to get that in there. Now, as I mentioned before, I added some salt in there. Normally, you will want to have that sit for about 20 minutes, and so that it can get some of the water out of there. So I will put a little more salt. I'm going to let that sit for a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and work on getting everything else cleaned up while this is sitting. The last bit of this is going to be able to add our herbs and the onions and vinegar, and we'll be done. So in the meanwhile, let me clean up this sit a little bit, and then I will be back for my cucumbers and checking on the steak. Okay, gonna get a little bit of fresh dill chopped up here. I love how dill, I don't know, it gives that freshness to food like immediately. So I'm gonna do a little more than probably most people like, but I just love how dill works with these dishes. Okay, so it's been sitting there. I emptied a little bit of the water that was that came out from this after sitting for 20 minutes. And now I'm just adding my dill. And I'm going to add my onions. Ooh. I love pickled onions. Like, if I could put it in everything, I would. And so any recipe that calls for like red onions, if I can make it the pickled ones, well, we're doing it. And just getting this incorporated in there. I definitely went heavy on the dill, but once again, I am okay with that. Okay, and then we're going to do a splash of the vinegar. Not too much. I don't like my stuff too vinegary, if that's a word, but it does bring this together. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper to finish it off. Okay. And that should be all we need to finish this. Okay, let's plate this dinner. Make sure we're all done and see how delicious this tastes coming together. All right, so dinner is ready. I'm going to put the hummus as the base on the plate. Okay. I'm just going to get a little bit of some small paprika. I'm going to put a little bit of oil in there. And this is just okay. And then we want to add our steak bites, which is our filet mignon. And this is our high protein Luxe meal that comes together so nicely and quickly, might I add. And then, of course, our side salad that we can put right there on the side. Don't need to have another bowl or dish going. You could just put that right there on the side. And you can eat as much as your heart desires for this because the calorie count is so low. And that's what we're hoping to get here. All right, so I'm going to add, I didn't have any pita bread today, so I'm going to add these keto sandwich thins that you can use as your pita bread for those who need something to eat the hummus with if they don't want to just have it with the steak alone. And so I'm just going to put 2 slices of that on the side here. And these I love because they are 100 calories in one serving and 12 grams of protein. So look, we've just added more proteins to this meal. Definitely a plus. I'm so excited that we are ready to eat dinner, mostly because I'm not going to feel hungry in the next 2 hours after eating this. I'm going to pack a plate to go to work as well. So what I normally do is if I'm going to cook high protein meals for dinner, it's definitely coming with me for lunch. And it's an easy way to get all that high protein going the next day. So that's my tip to you. If you are someone working on dropping weight or trying to lose weight, just think about what you are having for dinner as the meal that you have for lunch again. All right, let me know in the comments if you would make this meal. And until next time, see you later.